"We're moving in Friday," my sister announced. Mom already agreed. She said it like she was reading weather, not asking, not checking, just stating a fact that had apparently been in motion for weeks without me. I stood at the kitchen sink with a glass I'd already filled and forgotten to drink. Outside, the late afternoon had that thin, brittle light it gets before dusk, when the day feels finished but refuses to admit it. I listened for my own reaction and didn't hear much. No shout, no plea, just a quiet tallying. Friday was 2 days away. I said, "I need to think about that," which was true in the way a lock needs to think about a key. She rolled her eyes. "There's nothing to think about," Mom already agreed. Mom's agreements had always been porous. She agreed to things because it was easier than saying no, because conflict tired her, because family was supposed to be elastic. Agreements stretched around whoever pulled hardest. I had learned that late, learned it by watching my space slowly fill with other people's decisions. After my sister left, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't argue. I went into the hall and checked the panel by the door. Alarm system armed. The tiny green light glowed like a held breath. I opened the app on my phone. Doorbell camera, recording. Motion alerts, on. Police dispatch enabled. It wasn't new. I'd installed the system months ago, after a different conversation where my need for privacy had been waved away like a quirk I'd outgrow. I sat on the couch and waited for the sound of my heart to catch up with what I'd done. It didn't. It stayed steady. That surprised me. Friday came anyway. I was at work when my phone vibrated. A notification slid across the screen, bright and impersonal. INTRUDER alert police dispatched. For a moment, I didn't move. I read it again, as if it might change its mind. The app showed the camera feed. My sister's face filled the frame, sharp with irritation, her mouth already forming my name. Behind her, boxes stacked in the shape of a decision that had never asked for me. She pressed the doorbell. Once, twice. I didn't answer. The alert chimed again. Motion detected. The lock held. She tried the handle. On camera, it looked almost tender. The way she tested it, like she expected the door to remember her. Her phone came out. Mine stayed silent. I watched her glance up at the camera, then away, then back again, as if noticing it for the first time. There's a specific sound a siren makes when it isn't close, yet more intention than volume. It arrives before the car does. You feel it in the body first. My sister heard it. Her shoulders went tight. She stepped back, looked down the street, then at the door again. She knocked, harder this time. I didn't answer. 2 police officers appeared at the edge of the frame, walking, not rushing. They spoke to her. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see the shape of the conversation. Explanation, interruption, correction. She gestured at the door. She gestured at the boxes. She gestured like someone used to being believed on sight. One of the officers turned and looked straight into the camera. That was the moment control shifted. Not dramatically, not cruelly, just clean. They waited. Procedure has a patience that family doesn't. I answered the call when it came through the app. "Yes," I said, "that's my address." "No one has permission to enter." There was a pause while the words settled where they needed to go. "All right," the officer said. "We'll handle it." Handle it. Not escalate. Not punish. Just handle. My sister's face did something small and sharp when she realized the story she'd brought with her wouldn't work here. Boxes were set down. A hand went to her forehead. The officers spoke again, slower now. Names were taken. The word consent was used, plainly, without accusation. They left. The siren receded. The street went back to its ordinary quiet. I sat at my desk and stared at the screen long after the feed went still. There was no triumph in me, no rush. Just a loosening I hadn't known I was holding. My phone rang an hour later. I didn't pick up. Mom texted that night. "Why would you do that?" No punctuation. Just hurt and confusion, braided together. I typed, erased, typed again. "Because agreeing for me isn't the same as asking me," she didn't reply. Over the weekend, the house stayed mine. The silence wasn't peaceful exactly, it had edges. Family has a way of making boundaries feel like betrayal even when they're only lines on a map. But something had shifted. Not loudly. Not publicly. Just enough. On Sunday evening, I walked from room to room and noticed the space again. Not as something temporary, not as a holding area for other people's plans, but as a place that responded to me. The alarm panel blinked its calm green light. The camera watched without judgment. I knew there would be consequences. Holidays would feel different. Conversations would carry a carefulness that hadn't been there before. This wasn't a win. It was a cost I'd decided to pay. I turned the system to night mode and went to bed early. Outside, the streetlight hummed. Inside, the door stayed closed.